Thank you for joining us on another edition of the Florida Chamber's Bottom Line. My name is Tony Carvajal. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Florida Chamber Foundation, and joining me today is our friend Marshall Kreiser, Chancellor of the State University System and also a past chair of the Florida Chamber. Welcome, Marshall.
Tony, thank you. It's great to be back here.
So, Chancellor, a big push of the university system is to ensure that students emerge prepared for their globally competitive workforce. Can you discuss what the state university system is doing?
We understand the needs of this state to develop a technology economy and an innovation economy. And so by focusing on outcomes from our universities, we're helping to ensure that we sort of direct a conversation. In the past, and frankly the way education sort of operates traditionally in this country, students choose the course that they take, the degree that they get, and ultimately the job that they'll follow. What I believe is the better we educate our students about what the opportunities are for them, we can help them to make more informed choices. And so that's a key component of that. I would also say that we have begun a lot of great work in Florida over the last year and a half to look at how our universities are working together and how we can be competitive on a national basis in terms of attracting the kinds of research grants and the funding that would come to those projects. So that we're able to grow those programs. And we're looking at ways to leverage federal investment in understanding what's going on in Florida and the impact we can have on our citizens.
So you're talking about a lot of the outcomes, and I think that's fantastic, the students and the research and the investments that we're making, and it fosters innovation and economic development. Tell me a little bit more about how you can connect with small and mid-sized businesses to really deliver for them.
Well, you know, I kind of jumped to output. Let me work back to throughput. And it's interesting, I'm using business terms, but I'm actually borrowing this from one of our provosts. His comment at one point was that we have shifted our focus away from input, which was recruiting students, and thinking more about throughput and output, which I believe is absolutely the right focus for us. So on the throughput side, what we're seeing as a result of this focus on accountability is a greater use of mentorships, a greater use of internships, more partnerships with businesses in our communities so that our students have a hands-on, face-to-face opportunity to work with businesses, not just large businesses. In fact, small business is probably a critical factor there simply because that's one of the major employers we have in our state. And so the opportunity to take that education experience, pair it with practical experience, whether it's a mentoring relationship or an internship that you get the actual hands-on, is a two-way street. We're growing that student, but we're also exposing our employers to the capabilities and the talents that our students have.
Now, you've had a distinguished career, Chancellor, in the business world and now in the state university system. If you had advice for a business leader, other than connecting with the mentors and the students, what advice would you give our audience?
Well, I appreciate your words. I don't know that a year and 3 months I can claim distinguished accomplishments yet. But you know, I think the main thing, and I would say not just to business leaders, this challenge is to us. We have to communicate more. We know within our institutions and within our system what we have going on. We have great conversations, and often those conversations are probably pretty robust at a local level. But not all of our institutions are located in large metropolitan areas. Some of our preeminent universities, in fact, are located in relatively smaller communities. And we need to build a greater awareness of what the talent resource is that's coming out of our universities. At the same time, our universities need to continue to listen to the business community in terms of what they expect for the workforce in the future. We did some really good work over the last couple of years. One of those pieces is founded in the Access and Attainment Report, where we specifically began to look at where the gaps were between the job market and the education degrees that we were producing. That was a collaborative effort between the colleges and the universities and the business community. As a result of that, the governor and legislature actually funded team grants that would allow us to grow our capabilities in those areas. But we grew the capabilities because we knew the business community needed it, not because we thought it was a great thing to do. We followed with that with a study that we did last year called the Graduation Success Report. I say last year, we're going to continue to do this, but for the first time we were able to actually track all of that year's graduating class and understand where they go in terms of finding a job or continuing their education. As we continue to do that work, we will be able to build trend lines, but even with that first year's report, we have a snapshot of what a student's interests can translate into in terms of a degree, and where people with those degrees found jobs or found other educational opportunities. We now want to complete that cycle and go back into our K through 12 system and start talking to our students and to our business community about the types of jobs, the types of degrees that we think people will have opportunities. And again, it's not that we're doing something new, other than the fact that we're communicating more, we're communicating better about what we do very well.
Marshall, my hat's off to you for connecting the students, innovation, economic development, and making sure that we have the right outcomes. And I want to wish you luck in everything that you're doing for the State University system. It is really an engine of our economy. Thank you for joining us today, and looking forward for you to connect with us and the State University system going forward. This is the Florida Chamber's Bottom Line.